And we're here at the Classic Motorcycle Festival at Donington Park with the legendary Peter Williams. Peter, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, which was a video chronicling Norton's attempt to win the Formula 750 race at the Isle of Man, featuring yourself and Dave Croxford. And you seem to be plagued by the Achilles heel at the time, which was gearbox issues.
Well, that was the 72 problem. And as an engineer, it was just up to me or to Norton to solve the problem. That's what engineers do, and that's what we did. For 73, what you're talking about is 72, that was a plague and it was frustrating. But for 73, we'd solved it and we never had any more trouble. We solved it by a redesign of the primary drive from the crankshaft to the gearbox, and it worked. And that is the system we've got on this bike here, which is a replica of that 1973 bike. The 72 season was character forming, and it was a challenge, and we took up the challenge successfully, I think.
Because at that time it was, I suppose, the beginning of the attack of the Japanese machines, particularly against you. The machines behind me, these Suzuki TR750s, were probably your nearest rivals. Was that an added difficulty, knowing that the Japanese had got machines that were essentially brand new machines, whereas you were, I suppose, working on an aged design?
Well, I was working on an aged design because that's all we had. But the plans, the reason why I was there at Norton was because Norton's plans were to take on the Japanese challenge, and they had a new design on the books. They commissioned Cosworth to do a new engine, and because of that commitment, I was happy, more than happy, to do what I could to promote the name of Norton, which I'd grown up with to believe was a great name.
You've got your new machine behind us. What was your thought process behind producing a brand new monocoque Norton?
Well, this is a brand new bike, but it is a replica, almost an identical copy of that 1973 bike, which was a quite incredible motorbike. At the time, okay, it was up against bikes, Japanese bikes, with much more horsepower, but I was able to keep up with them and beat them. And so this bike is a stepping stone to doing a new bike, not revolutionary, but using modern techniques of manufacture that the bikes from Japan and Italy and America and Germany they don't use. The motorcycle industry was and is very conservative, with a small c, and it was and is difficult to get finance to bring the design of motorcycles forward. Traditionally, engines of motorcycles have been quite advanced compared to the car, cousins. But the chassis has traditionally lagged behind. And that's what I want to do, is to bring it forward to something that is possible and something we should have. The design of the bikes, not the engines, but the bikes as a whole, are very old-fashioned. They look great. I don't deny the cosmetics of the modern motorcycle are fantastic, but the basis, the platform upon which that cosmetics is based is old-fashioned.
It's interesting. I was thinking the other day about the hub centre steered machine that Ron Haslam was sort of test rider for the Elf Honda, and that they spent a lot of time and money on that, and yet we're still using telescopic forks now. Do you think that MotoGP, as a sort of general design concept, are also very sort of conservative, maybe with more of an eye on selling bikes rather than innovation?
Absolutely. I think you must have read something that I wrote several times in the last 2 or 3 years. That the modern racing motorcycle, although it allows anything other than, say, in Moto 2, you've got a standardised engine, but you can do what you like to the cycle parts, but they don't. They're all the same. The Kalex and the other bikes, they're just old-fashioned motorbikes. They've got fantastic electronics and metrology, but they're old-fashioned designs.
Can I just ask you about the electronics? Is it something that you think is, if you like, a means of not having to engineer a machine because you're using the electronics to control it rather than engineering?
You could say that you don't need any different, how shall I say, mechanics, because you can do what is possible with the electronics. I mean, I'm quite sure, for instance, that if Marquez, with all the magic that he puts into his riding, if he didn't have the electronics and the traction control and the ABS and also imagine gyroscopic processes on board, he wouldn't be able to control those things. Nobody could. But they do they do put a fantastic show on, but it could be so much better. Traditionally, racing has improved the breed, and then at the moment it does in some areas, but by no means in all.
I think we see that here in the paddock here today. When you look at the various innovations, we've got singles, we've got twins, there's a beautiful Gilera 4 down there, there's your lovely machine here with the fantastic monocoque frame on it. You're right, it creates innovation and change, and yet do you think things have gone a bit stale?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was a teenager to see Jeff Duke on the Gilera 4. It was a beautiful motorbike. In fact, at that time, I admired the Guzzi, the Moto Guzzi with Enrico Lorenzetti and others on it. I admired Enrico Lorenzetti because he was a rider and engineer, and I think I followed him rather than my father in career, it does improve the breed, but the Guzzi didn't catch on somehow. Lightweight, low aerodynamic, low drag, it didn't catch on, and I don't quite understand why. But the Gilera, the Japanese took up the example of the Gilera, and indeed engineering basics led to the multi-cylinder engine, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But they have not advanced the chassis and the cycle parts as much as they should have, or could have.
Can I just ask you, with all the years that you were racing, and particularly in an area when innovation was rife really with change, is there a particular bike you have that's a favourite bike that you've ridden? I think I loved all the bikes that I ever rode. Just like every circuit I ever rode, I loved them all. I was president of the TTRA 15 years ago, 1999 to 2000, and I was allowed to ride in. Traditionally, the president rides in on his bike he's famous for. I rode in on 2 bikes, not at the same time, but I rode in on this, the Norton monocoque, and then I rode in on the wagon wheels, the G50 with the Arta wheels. And I was extremely close to tears on the Arta bike. I built that bike. It was
and it
With
never
the-
let me fall off.
With a little bit of derision from some about the innovations you put on it in terms of the wheels.
Well, the prophet is never known in his own country.
Peter, it's been fantastic to talk to you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Pleasure.
It's a lovely bike here.
Yeah. Another one. We just run on the header tank because this is fiberglass and it don't like the ethylene in the fuel.
Yeah.
So it's a work of art, this tank. So
It's beautiful.
we just run a slave tank on it, you know.
Yeah.
So
Do you know,
five
you go-
speed box.
Is it? You go around and see these various old bikes, the really best bikes. They've all got the old Arnie forks.
Yes.
They're beautiful. They're a work of art, aren't they?
Absolutely. Have a look at the throttle.
I see that. I see that. All the cables. Yeah.
Four runs into the throttle, you know.
I see it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's
They don't make them like this anymore.
no, the computer makes them different.
Yeah.
No Peter Williams jobs. They're all press buttons and the answers are all the same.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's right.
anyway, Walter Villa did a great job, didn't he?
Didn't he
Of
just?
course, he designed this in a 125V twin in 66, 67, so he thought he would go for the World Championship 250, putting two together, and of course they changed the formula for the championship, so they cut him back to two-cylinder and 5-speed, so it was dormant, never did a Grand Prix, did Imola and Misano, but only for test runs, you know. So, frightening.
His regulations are
Yeah.
pain in the arse, aren't they?
But,
But you know, they make these regulations now,
yeah,
and nobody bothers with them.
no, they just,
I mean, you know, Moto 2,
yeah.
you're allowed to do anything.
Yes.
So they don't do anything.
But
They don't do anything.
like the British Superbike, 600 class, Triumph can run 675s.
Yeah.
Tell me, go on, explain that to me.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I can't understand. You know, you're either a 600 or you're a 675. You know. So anyway, one of the bikes from the museum, and you know, we've done a lot of work on it. Runs
tell-
quite sensibly.
I
Yeah.
tell everybody, if you want to see a motorcycle museum,
Yeah.
come to the Sammy
Yeah,
Miller.
yeah. Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
So there'll be like a kind of shortage of Raljecks in all the chemists, I guess, around that area come British Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's going to be basically middle-aged, fat, baldy blokes on bikes that they're not very good at riding. But
So you've got a chance.
I've got a serious chance.
But how? I'm interested. You know, is it going to be like the Pro-Ams used to be? Will it be a key out of a hat, or is there ways of cheating?
No. Key out of a hat job, the 100% way it used to be. Key out of a hat, so all the bikes are the same, and basically just get on with it. And the idea is it's a one-off event, but we'll have all the bikes at the end of it, and we wanted next year to take that on tour. And we had some cracking Pro-Am races here at Donington, the World Cup and the regular series. So a dream for me would to be bring it back here to maybe a BSB round in the future.
You know, right, the great Freddy Spencer, lovely to see you, Freddy. Thank you for coming back to Donington Park. Just tell us what bike you'll be out on in a minute.
I'm going to be riding a Rothmans Honda 3-cylinder from about, it's like an 1988.
Who's the owner of that bike?
Rich Grantham. And it's a beautiful prepared bike. He has a 250 over here that I ride, and an RC30 that I actually raced, a Two Brothers bike from '91, and he has his own bike. But they're just great bikes, and you know, the 3-cylinder. Obviously, I remember the first time I rode the bike and getting ready for the '82 season, and so it's so much fun to go out and ride the bikes. I know everybody likes hearing the two strokes, and for us, it's such a big treat.
And you'll be out on it very shortly, so listen out for that 3-cylinder out there. Freddie Spencer, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Rocket Ron Haslam is here with me as well. Ron, they're starting to mess up your track for your track days here, or for your schools, but you'll know what it's like for a bit of oil. We've raced in oil before, haven't we?
We have, obvious. They always blame the sidecars, but probably mostly is as well. But you know, we've done a lot of that.
What are you going to be riding here this weekend?
The 45 Honda, you know, which I'm looking forward to.
What years would you have raced or ridden that?
Believe it or not, I've not actually raced that one. I've practiced a few times on it and done a bit of development, but I've never raced it, so I'm looking forward to that.
I distinctly, not that particular bike, but I remember coming to a transatlantic meeting here one year when they wheeled out a road bike for you. It was a white, it was the V4, wasn't it? It was the VFR, wasn't it?
It was VFR. Yeah, it was the time when I was riding for Elf at the time, not actually, you know, it was called Elf Honda, but it was the Elf company, and I actually got permission to ride a big story. This is, I got permission to actually ride the transatlantic, where Honda couldn't provide a bike that year for me, and I got permission to ride the Suzuki, and so I did my own work and got the Suzuki all up and running for transatlantic.
Was that an RG or something, or a Suzuki superbike?
Just a superbike, you know, superbike Suzuki, and got it all up and running. Did some testing on it, really happy with it. I thought, yeah, this will be okay. And then a week before, Honda Japan asked Honda if I wouldn't ride it. You know, they preferred me not to ride it. So I thought, okay, you know, I don't upset them, so I'll not ride it. That particular bike, I gave to Kevin Schwanz. And he won one of the transatlantics on it as well. So we were like really pittled off with that because I set it all up and then had to give it to him. But,
so we always thought that was just a standard road bike that he went out and run on, but you'd set it all up and it was all ready to go. So he's not as good as we think. No, really.
Yeah, he's as good. But yeah, that did work out. So that was all behind the scenes anyway, and that left me then to just try and get Honda to work. And I got myself a VFR and phoned Japan up, what can I do to make it better? This standard VFR. Well, first thing they says is take the rev limiter off, and they told me, okay, a few measurements on the ignition box, put axle through it, take the rev limiter off for you. I thought, oh great, that'll be a good one. So I did that. It lasted one lap and blew up.
Blew itself to bits.
Blew itself to pieces. So that was the end of that one. So then the biggest story from that was then I went straight to Granby Motors, that was a Honda dealer. Got one straight off the shop floor, took the side stand off it and raced it basically, and I got 2/3 on it, which was fantastic. Only because it was wet though, you know.
I do remember it, and it literally did have the indicators and everything on it. Lights a lot, didn't it?
It had everything. Yeah, I took the side stand off and the main stand. That was it. You know, and I think, you know, after the event, everybody knew that it was standard. You know, it wasn't just a publicity stunt or anything. And Honda thanked me for it at that. But I think at the time I wasn't very happy because as soon as it dried up, I went from like leading it to last. You know, within like a few laps.
And watch Kevin Schwanz on your bike out front.
Yes, watch Kevin actually go to win it. Which, yeah, that really just put the knife in.
Brilliant. All right, thank you, Rocket Ron Haslam, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Redman stood here beside me. Jim, 6 times world champion. You're going out on a modern bike, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going out on the winning bike, a TT winning bike from I think last year on track.
Yeah, it was. Gary Johnson rode it to great success.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm not going to ride it like that today.
Well, I would take a tight line down into Redgate. As you can see, the oil is down there. But you do ride modern bikes still?
Yeah, I ride really anything. I haven't got any bikes of my own, so I just pitch up and say I need a bike to ride, and somebody shoves something underneath me, and off I go, you know.
That's the way to go.
On this lovely Triumph winning bike from the Isle of Man, and I'm getting a bit used to it. I might go in the Isle of Man with it.
I'm sure that the organisers of the Classic TT would make you very, very welcome, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm going to the Isle of Man later this month, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, are you in the Classic Parade?
Yeah, they're arranging a bike, so I don't know what's been arranged. So I just pitch up and they shove a bike underneath me and off I go, you know.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching who'll be out there as well, but I'll certainly be there, and it'd be great to bump into you and see how you get on.
Yeah, well, you know, the Isle of Man is like home from me, even though I only go there a few times now. But enjoy myself over there. This is what it's about for me. It's all a bit of fun, and you know, I can go as fast as I feel like going, not like having the pressure of having to win, and Hailwood's there and it's raining, and you know, the stuff that you went through. And now it's all smiles all the way. You get a lovely bike to ride and a lot of fun, and it's all very relaxed.
Well, that's brilliant, Jim. Thanks for doing it, and we just know how much it's been appreciated. But yeah, I take it you're back to signing autographs now.
Yeah, well, I'm gobsmacked about the reception I get all over the world, and I've done nothing for about 50 years, and yet they still remember me from those times when I could ride a little bit. And it's really an honour to come back and meet a lot of people that I do now that we were too busy to meet when we were really at it hammer and tongs.
Well, believe me, it's an honour to have you here, but that's great. Have a great day. What's left of it? It's all going too quick, isn't it?
Yeah, good, and I want to thank the Triumph group for letting me ride their lovely bike over the weekend.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.